AITA for secretly catching my wife and my stepdad kissing, then kicking them out with nothing? My name is Luke Bennett. I'm 37 years old, born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. I am a safety and quality auditor in the agribusiness sector. I work for an international certification company that inspects meat packing plants, slaughterhouses, and meat and dairy processing plants throughout the Midwest. It is a tough, technical, and demanding job. I spend 2, 3, sometimes 4 days a week on the road. I have slept in roadside motels with cockroaches the size of a lighter roaming the bathroom. I have eaten cold meals out of a container, sitting inside a Ford Ranger caked in mud up to the roof, parked in the middle of nowhere while waiting for the rain to pass. I have inspected non-compliant facilities where the stench was so bad I became ill inside my protective mask. But I make good money, very good money. $150,000 a year, plus a vehicle allowance and a per diem. Every cent is hard-earned, gained through a lot of studying and a lot of hard work. I graduated with a degree in food science from the Ohio State University. I specialized in quality management. I earned international certifications. I pushed myself. I deserved every step I climbed. I met Julia in college. She was studying marketing while I was racking my brain with microbiology and industrial processes. Straight, waist-length black hair, big brown eyes, an easy smile, and an endearing shyness that captivated me right away. We dated for 4 years. I graduated first, she a year later. I married her when I was 28, and she was 26. The ceremony was simple. We rented a barn venue, had 200 guests, barbecue, cold beer, and a live country band that played until 3 in the morning. Those were the best years of my life. In the beginning, she worked at a small marketing agency. She made about $40,000 a year, and she managed just fine, paying for her own things and splitting the bills with me. When I started to climb the career ladder, when the trips became more frequent and my salary started to grow, she started to let go. First, it was the hours. Honey, it's too hectic. I get home exhausted. Then it was the job itself. Honey, I spend so much time alone. You travel every week. It doesn't make sense for me to kill myself working if you earn enough for both of us. I need to take care of the house, right? I accepted it. I bought the whole narrative. I thought it made sense. I thought it was love. 3 years ago, I made a dream come true. I bought a house in Heritage Pines, a high-end gated community with 24-hour security, a full recreation area with tennis courts, a pool, and a clubhouse. The house itself was a dream. 3 suites, a heated pool in the back, a gourmet outdoor kitchen with a built-in grill, and a 3-car garage. The total cost was $650,000. It was financed through a major national bank in my name, with a $100,000 down payment I had saved from 6 years of work. Julia chose every detail of the decor. Imported Italian porcelain tile floors, custom blackout curtains, a crystal chandelier in the dining room. On furniture and decoration alone, she spent $20,000. I approved everything. I thought it was an investment in our future. I thought we would grow old there together. My mother, Marilyn Bennett, is a completely different story. She was widowed 15 years ago. My father, Owen Bennett, died of a massive heart attack at 52. He collapsed in the middle of his office in front of his colleagues. There was no time for anything. My mother spent 10 years alone, 10 years working as an administrative assistant at a public school, taking care of the house, visiting us on weekends, and living a quiet, dignified life until she met Victor. Victor Bennett, 59 years old. Advanced baldness, just that crown of gray hair on the sides. A prominent beer belly and teeth stained from years of tobacco use. He claimed to be a self-employed real estate agent, but in 6 years, I never, ever saw that man close a single deal. I never saw him leave for work in a suit. I never saw him with a client. He lived in my mother's house. He would wake up late and drink coffee she made, eat lunch she prepared. He would spend the afternoon on the couch watching sports and drinking cheap domestic beer. He drove the 2019 silver Honda Civic that I gave my mother for her 60th birthday. My mom paid the internet bill, the cable package, his beer, his cigarettes, everything. I tried to warn her 1,000 times. Mom, this guy doesn't work. He's using you. Open your eyes. And she, in her gentle way, would always reply, Son, you don't understand. He keeps me company. I was so lonely after your father died. You have your life, your wife. I need someone too. I stopped insisting after a while. She was an adult, a widow for years. If she wanted to have a man in her life, even if he was a parasite, that was her problem. I had my own problems to deal with, and there was no shortage of them. Julia complained more and more. You only think about work, Luke. You're never here. I feel like a widow. I tried to compensate in any way I could. I took her to Napa Valley for a long weekend, a 5-star hotel, dinner at a Michelin-starred restaurant. I bought her designer bags, French perfume, and jewelry. Nothing was ever enough. There was always a new complaint, a distant look, a sigh of dissatisfaction. And now here I was, standing on that industrial walkway in the middle of a meatpacking plant in Omaha, Nebraska, listening to my mother cry on the phone while she told me she had learned about an inappropriate situation involving my wife and my stepfather inside my own house. Mom, listen to me. Take a deep breath, very slowly. Where are you now? In the Target parking lot, near your house. I didn't know where to go. I'm so ashamed, son. Ashamed of what? You did nothing wrong. Listen, are you absolutely sure about what you saw? Son, his car is there, parked next to your white Corolla. I saw it with my own eyes, and the front door was locked from the inside. I rang the doorbell 3 times. Nobody answered, but I heard noises inside. I heard laughter. I heard. She didn't have to finish. I understood perfectly. I looked at my watch. It was 3:27 p.m. I was in Omaha, Nebraska, nearly 600 miles away from Columbus, 600 miles from home. If I hit the road right that second, driving like a madman, I would get there in the middle of the night, maybe around 4 or 5 in the morning. Mom, pay close attention to what I'm about to say. Go home now. Don't talk to anyone about this. Especially not him. Pretend you saw nothing. Can you do that? But son, how am I supposed to pretend? How can I look him in the face? I know it's hard, but trust me. I need you to act normal just for today and tomorrow. I'll handle this the right way, I promise. I heard her sniffling, trying to compose herself. Okay, son. I trust you. Good. And Mom, thank you for telling me. I know it was difficult. I could not tell you, son. You're my son. You deserve the truth. I hung up the phone. I stood there for a few minutes, just watching the beef carcasses hanging from hooks pass slowly on the automated conveyor belt. Carcasses split open, insides exposed, fluids running down the stainless steel gutters. I thought to myself, that's exactly what I am now. Cut open, emptied out, exposed. But the big difference was that I was still alive, and I was going to fight back. I came down from the walkway, took off the soiled apron, threw it in the laundry bin in the locker room, and went to the plant manager's office, a guy named Ron, a pot-bellied 50-something who breathed heavily through his nose. Ron, I have a family emergency. I need to leave now. He furrowed his brow, clearly annoyed. Luke, we're in the middle of an audit. We still have to inspect the cold storage. I know, but it's urgent. A family matter of life and death. He huffed, grumbled something about these corporate auditors who can't handle real work, but eventually let me go. I grabbed my gray North Face backpack, got into my 2022 Silver Ranger, and left that meatpacking plant, tires kicking up gravel. But I didn't drive off like a maniac. I wasn't out of control. I drove about 100 miles and stopped at a large truck stop on Interstate 80. I parked under a tree and did the only thing a rational man should do in these moments. I thought, I could go back home screaming, kicking down doors, and making a scene. I could have a serious confrontation with Victor that would get us both into legal trouble. I could call Julia every name in the book. But that would be stupid and impulsive. An impulse doesn't solve problems. It only creates bigger ones. I had something better than rage. I had the security cameras. When we bought the house 2 years ago, I made sure to install a complete surveillance system. 8 exterior cameras covering the entire perimeter of the property. 4 interior cameras, 1 in the living room, 1 in the kitchen, 1 in the hallway leading to the bedrooms, and 1 in the garage, all with full HD resolution, night vision, and motion sensors. Not only did Julia know about the system, she had asked for it herself. Honey, we need security. There have been a lot of break-ins in the neighboring community. I'm here alone when you travel. I agreed immediately. But what she didn't know, because she never bothered to read the manual, was that the internal cameras had two-way audio capture and recorded absolutely everything to the cloud, with automatic backup and 90-day storage. Sitting there in that rundown gas station, Drinking a reheated coffee that tasted like dirty water, I opened the security app on my phone. I rewound the recording timeline to 2 hours earlier. Garage camera, live view. I fast-forwarded to the exact time, 2:17 p.m. A silver Honda Civic slowly pulls into the garage, stopping next to my white Corolla. The door opens. Victor gets out. He looks around, a bit suspiciously, as if checking if anyone is watching. He walks to the access door to the house and rings the doorbell. 10 seconds later, the door opens. Julia appears. She is wearing a blue satin robe, the expensive one I gave her for her birthday. Her hair is down, looking like she just woke up. But the smile on her face is wide and genuine. It is the kind of smile she stopped giving me a long time ago. "Took you long enough," she says clearly in the audio. "There was traffic on the main road," he replies in his chronic smoker's rasp. And then they kiss, right there at the door of my house, with the camera recording everything. A long, passionate kiss, with his hand on her waist and her hand on his neck. I forwarded the recording. Living room camera, 15 minutes later. They are on the beige leather sofa that cost $5,000. He slowly removes her robe. She laughs a low, throaty laugh. "What if someone sees?" she asks, feigning concern. "No one's gonna see anything," he answers. The cuckold is out in Omaha, inspecting a meatpacking plant. He's not back until Friday. Cuckold. He called me a cuckold. Inside my house, on the sofa I bought. I closed the app and placed my phone in the cup holder. I took a deep breath. Once, twice, 3 times. My hands were shaking, but it wasn't blind rage. It was something different, colder, more calculated. It was planning. I opened my messages. I looked for my lawyer's contact, Dr. Henry Caldwell. His office was in downtown Columbus. A specialist in family and property law with 20 years of experience and an extremely high success rate. He had handled a few real estate matters for me in the past. The reply came in less than 5 minutes. "Luke, how are you? A delicate situation indeed. Let's meet tomorrow at 9 a.m. in my office. Bring all the evidence you have. We will resolve this in the best way possible." I sent a thumbs-up emoji. I took another deep breath. I called my mother. "Mom, how are you?" Her voice came out small and tearful. "Not good. Son, not good at all. I haven't stopped crying since I left there. I can't believe he did this. I can't believe she did this to you." "I know, Mom. I didn't believe it at first either, but now I'm sure. And now I need you to be strong. Stronger than ever. You can do it." I think so. Not think. I need you to. Tomorrow morning, at 9 o'clock, you're coming with me to the lawyer's office. We're going to resolve this situation the right way, the legal way. But I need you by my side." Silence. Then, with a firmer voice, "Okay, son. I'll go. I'll be there." "Perfect. And Mom, this is very important. Don't say anything about this to Victor. Absolutely nothing. If he comes home and asks anything, you pretend everything is normal. Say you went to the market, visited a friend, make something up, but don't let him suspect a thing. Can you do that?" "I can, son. I'll pretend. I can do it." "Great. I love you. See you tomorrow." "I love you too, son." I hung up. I thought for a moment about calling Julia, about sending a sarcastic text. "Hey, honey, everything okay over there? Having fun?" But no. Silence was power at that moment. Silence was strategy. The less she knew that I knew, the better. The element of surprise was crucial. I tried to get some sleep right there in the Ranger. I reclined the seat and locked the doors. I used my backpack as a pillow, but it was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that kiss, heard that laugh. The cuckold is in Omaha. But something strange happened. Around 4 in the morning, the anger started turning into something else. The sadness started turning into clarity. I began to remember details my brain had chosen to ignore until that moment. Her credit card statements. I always paid them. I never questioned them, but now, replaying them in my head, I remembered. Dinner at the expensive sushi restaurant every Wednesday. Wednesday was always the day I traveled. Frequent purchases of imported wine. We rarely drank wine at home. Expensive lingerie from high-end boutiques. I thought it was for me, for when I got back from my trips. Idiot. Blind. Imbecile. Even more, the deed to the house. When I bought the property, my mother had suggested, a bit sheepishly, "Son, you should add a protection clause, you know, just to be safe." I had ignored her suggestion at the time. I thought it was overkill. But now I clearly remembered that the property deed we both signed had a specific infidelity clause. It said something about a contested separation with documented proof of infidelity. In case of confirmation, the unfaithful spouse would automatically lose any right to their share of the property. It was standard in some joint property agreements, fine print that nobody paid attention to, but I had signed it. And now, it was pure gold. At 6 in the morning sharp, I had another terrible coffee at the gas station, filled the tank, and hit the road back. 600 miles. I-80, I-74, I-70. I arrived in Columbus at 11:43 a.m. I didn't go home. I went straight to Dr. Caldwell's office in the city center. My mother was already there waiting, sitting in the reception area, wearing simple blue jeans and a white blouse, her purse in her lap, her eyes swollen from a night of crying. When she saw me, she stood up and hugged me tightly. She cried again. I didn't say anything, just held her and let her cry out everything she needed to. Dr. Caldwell was a man in his early 60s, completely bald, with thick glasses, an impeccable navy blue tie, and a well-cut gray suit. Always serious, always direct, no nonsense. "Luke, Marilyn, good morning. Please, come in." We sat in the black leather armchairs in his office. He poured us mineral water, sat behind his enormous mahogany desk, opened his laptop, and got straight to the point. "Luke, tell me everything, in detail." I told him the whole story, my mother's call, what she saw, the cameras, the videos. I took out my phone, connected it to his large monitor, and showed him everything. He watched in silence, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When the videos finished, he took off his glasses, cleaned the lenses, put them back on, and said, "Luke, first, I am very sorry for what you're going through. Second, you have irrefutable proof. Clear infidelity, recorded, with audio, with date and timestamps certified by the cloud system. This is more than enough. Do you have the deed to the house?" "I do. It's scanned on my phone. Send it to my email. I need to review the property division clause." I sent it immediately. He opened it, read it in silence for 3 or 4 minutes, raised his eyebrows, read it again, and made more notes. "Luke, you were very wise. This infidelity clause in the deed is ironclad. It states exactly the following. In the event of a contested dissolution of the union, with judicial proof of infidelity by one of the parties, the unfaithful party will automatically forfeit any and all right to the division of the shared property, as well as compensation for improvements made. You are protected. If you file for a contested divorce and attach this audiovisual evidence, she gets nothing. No division of property, no alimony, nothing." My mother, who had been quiet until then, asked in a trembling voice, "And Victor? Doctor, can I do anything too?" Dr. Caldwell looked at her kindly. "Marilyn, are you legally married to him?" "Yes, we had a small courthouse wedding 2 years ago." "Perfect. Then you can also file for divorce. And based on this same evidence, you can claim a breach of marital trust and misconduct. Do you have any shared assets with him?" "No, doctor. He has nothing. Everything I have is mine. The house is mine. The car is mine. The savings are mine. Even better, you can get rid of him without losing a single thing. On the contrary, you'll get your peace back." My mother took a deep breath. Tears streamed down her face again, but this time they seemed different. Maybe they were tears of relief. "I was so stupid, doctor. So blind." Dr. Caldwell leaned forward, looked her firmly in the eyes, and said something I'll never forget. "You weren't stupid, Marilyn. You were human. You trusted. You loved. There's nothing wrong with that. The mistake is his. The fault is his. But now you're going to be smart, and you're going to get yourself out of this situation in the best way possible." We left the office 2 hours later with a complete plan. Dr. Caldwell would file the contested divorce petition on Monday morning. My mother's divorce would be filed at the same time, all documented. But before that, I needed a little more, and most importantly, I needed a confrontation. I got home at 3:15 on Thursday afternoon. The sun was scorching, that absurd heat of an Ohio summer, 95 degrees in the shade. Victor's Civic was no longer there, just Julia's white Corolla gleaming in the sun, freshly washed. I took 3 deep breaths before putting the key in the lock. I turned it slowly. I opened the door. The air conditioning was on. The house smelled of soap and perfume. Julia was sitting on the living room sofa, the The very same sofa where hours earlier she had been with my stepfather, casually watching Netflix, eating microwave popcorn straight from the bag. Her hair was in a messy bun, and she wore a loose gray sweatshirt, short shorts, and flip-flops. The perfect picture of a bored housewife waiting for her husband to come back from his trip. She turned her head when she heard the door open. Her eyes widened in genuine surprise. "Honey, you weren't supposed to be back until Friday night." What a surprise. I forced a calm, controlled smile. "Finished my work ahead of schedule. Thought it would be nice to surprise you." She paused the show, left the popcorn bag on the coffee table, got up, and came to hug me. I let her. I felt her arms around my neck. I smelled her perfume, the Chanel chance I had given her for her last birthday. It filled me with such a physical disgust that I had to restrain myself from shoving her away. "That's great, honey. I missed you so much. How was the trip?" "Productive." I dropped my backpack on the floor near the door. "And here? How have you spent the last few days?" "Everything quiet." "Oh, same old, same old. I was here alone, like I always am. Watched some shows, read a little, did some yoga. Your mom even stopped by earlier today, but I was in the shower, so I didn't hear the doorbell." The first lie. A blatant lie, looking me right in the eye. "That's a shame. Did she bring anything?" "She did. There was a little bag on the doorstep when I went out to get a package. Homemade apple butter. It's in the fridge. Want some? I'll have some later." I went to the kitchen. I took a glass from the cabinet and filled it with cold water from the fridge. I drank slowly, looking out the window at the backyard. The pool was crystal clear, cared for. Everything perfect, everything clean, everything alive. "Julia, can I ask you a question?" "Of course, honey. What is it?" "Are you happy?" I heard her approach the kitchen doorway behind me. "What do you mean?" I turned to her and looked her in the eyes. "Happy. Satisfied with us, with me, with this life." She blinked, confused, trying to figure out where I was going with this. "Honey, what a strange question. Of course I'm happy. Why are you asking?" "Answer truthfully. No lies." She crossed her arms defensively. "Sometimes I feel lonely, Luke. You know that. You travel too much. I'm here in this huge house with no one to talk to, no company. But I love you. You know I love you." "Are you absolutely sure?" "Luke, seriously, what is this weird conversation? Are you okay? Did something happen on your trip?" I placed the glass in the sink, dried my hands on a dish towel, and looked deep into her eyes. The change in her face was instantaneous. A millisecond, but I saw it. Her eyes widened. Her mouth fell slightly open. Her nostrils flared. Her entire body went rigid. Then, too quickly, she tried to compose herself. She forced a nervous laugh. "Victor? Your mom's husband? Why on earth would he be here?" "I don't know. You tell me." "Luke, I don't understand anything. He wasn't here. I don't even have contact with him." "Are you sure? Positive? Why are you asking this?" I pulled my phone from my pocket, opened the security camera app, turned the screen towards her, and pressed play. Garage camera. Today, 2:17 p.m. The video started. The silver Civic entering the garage. Victor getting out of the car, walking to the door, ringing the bell. Julia opening the door in a robe. The long, passionate kiss. The color drained from her face. She turned as white as paper. Her legs trembled. She tried to grab the phone from my hand. I pulled it away. "There's more. Much more. Want to see the part in the living room? Or do you prefer the one in the hallway on the way to the bedroom?" She backed away until she hit the wall. Her voice came out thin and desperate. "Luke, I can explain." "Then explain. I'm waiting. You're never here. I'm lonely." He started visiting, keeping me company, just talking. One thing led to another. It was a mistake. I didn't plan it. A mistake. I repeated her words slowly, letting the absurdity of them echo in the kitchen. "You had an inappropriate relationship with my mother's husband, in my house, on the couch I paid for, by mistake. It wasn't like that. You don't understand. I was so lonely, so needy, I needed attention. My stepfather, Julia, you crossed a line with my mother's husband." She started to cry. Thick tears, loud sobs. "I know it was wrong. I know. But you need to understand my side. You're never here. I can't stand this loneliness anymore." "How long?" Silence. Just crying. "Julia, how long has this been going on?" Her voice came out in a whisper. 6 months. 6 months? Half a year. 180 days. While I was waking up in the middle of the night, traveling 600 miles, inspecting plants, paying all the bills for this house, all her clothes, all her food. She was letting my stepfather into our home. Do you love him? She sobbed harder. No, it's not love. It was just a physical thing, you know? Someone who was here, who gave me attention. 6 months isn't a thing. It's a choice. It's a conscious decision, repeated 180 times. Luke, please, we can fix this. I'll end it with him right now. I'll block him. I'll go to therapy. We can do couples therapy. I promise never again. End it with him. I laughed without any humor. A hollow, bitter laugh. Julia, you have nothing to end, because we are over. Right now, this exact moment. No, Luke, please. Dr. Henry Caldwell is filing for a contested divorce on Monday morning. You'll be served with the papers on Tuesday or Wednesday. And based on the audiovisual evidence I have, all with certified dates, times, and locations, you are getting nothing from this house. Nothing. She scrambled to her feet, losing control. But this house is mine too. I live here. I helped decorate it with my money. Every cent you spent was mine. And about it being yours, it's not. Read the deed. Read the infidelity clause. Infidelity proven in court results in a total loss of rights to the property. You can't do this to me. This is inhuman. Inhuman is carrying on a secret relationship with my stepfather in my house while I work to pay your bills. I'll hire a lawyer. I'll sue. You'll do nothing. Because if you try anything, I will attach these videos to the court case and send copies to your father, your mother, your siblings, your friends. I will post it on Facebook, on Instagram, and everyone will know exactly who you are. She fell to her knees on the kitchen floor, her hands covering her face. Convulsive sobs. Luke, please, I have nowhere to go. I don't have any money. I don't have a job. You can't just leave me on the street. I could have felt pity. Some distant part of me, the part that still remembered when we were happy, wanted to feel pity. But then I remembered her laugh in the video. I remembered Victor's voice. The cuckold is in Omaha. You have until tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, to pack your things and get out of this house. But I have nowhere to go. Call Victor. I'm sure he'll be happy to take you in. After all, you two get along so well. Luke. 9 in the morning, Julia. If you're still here when I get back, I will call the police and have you removed for trespassing. Understood. She didn't answer, just stayed there, kneeling on the floor, crying. I stepped over her, went to the bedroom, grabbed a large suitcase from the closet, and started throwing her things inside. Clothes, shoes, purses, makeup, perfume, jewelry, everything. I filled the suitcase, dragged it to the living room, and left it by the door. Your things. You can get the rest tomorrow. She came after me, stumbling, trying to grab my arm. Luke, for the love of God, I made a mistake. I made a huge mistake, but please don't abandon me like this. I shook my arm free. You abandoned me 6 months ago. I'm just making it official now. I left the house, got in the Ranger, and drove straight to my mother's. When I got there, Victor was home, sitting on the old sofa in the living room, a can of beer in his hand, watching a baseball game on ESPN. He wore baggy shorts, a stained white tank top, and worn-out flip-flops. My mother was in the kitchen. I could hear the clatter of pans. He looked at me when I came through the door, which my mother always left unlocked. Luke, man, you scared me. Thought you weren't back from your trip until Friday. Everything okay? I walked in slowly, closing the door behind me. Came back early. Finished the job sooner than expected. Oh, good. Have a seat, man. Want a beer? It's ice cold. No, thanks. My mother came out of the kitchen, drying her hands on a cloth. She saw me. Our eyes met. I gave her a discreet nod. Stay calm, I've got this. Victor, we need to talk. He turned off the TV with the remote and placed the beer can on the coffee table. Talk about what? About you and Julia. His smile vanished instantly. His whole body went rigid. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone. I opened the video, walked over to him, and showed him the screen. He watched for 3 seconds, turned pale, tried to stand up, and stammered. That's not what you think. No? Then explain to me what it is, because to me, it looks like you're kissing my wife at the door of my house. My mother entered the living room, looking at him with an expression I had never seen on her face. It wasn't sadness, it wasn't anger. It was pure disgust. Victor, is it true? He looked at her, then at me, then at the floor. His hands were shaking. Marilyn, look, it was a mistake, a moment of weakness. She came onto me. My mother crossed the room in 3 steps and slapped him hard across the face. The sound echoed off the walls. The red mark of her 5 fingers was left on his cheek. Get out of my house. Marilyn, wait, let me explain. Get out of my house. Now. He tried to argue, tried to make excuses, said he would explain everything, that it wasn't what it seemed, that they could work it out. My mother wouldn't even listen. She went to their bedroom, came back with 2 trash bags full of his clothes, and threw them onto the sidewalk. His toothbrush, his flip-flops, his underwear, his cheap cologne, everything. He left humiliated, cursing under his breath, saying he was going to sue, that this was abuse, that he had rights. He got into his Civic and sped off, tires squealing. When the door closed, my mother collapsed. She sat on the sofa and cried. Not the cry of despair, but of relief, of liberation. I sat next to her and put my arm around her shoulders. I'm so sorry, Mom. She sniffled, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. Don't be. You opened my eyes, son. I was blind, so blind. Thank you. You don't have to thank me. I just showed you the truth. And it hurt. It hurt a lot, but it was necessary. We sat there in silence for a while. Just the sound of the wall clock. Tick-tock. Tick-tock. Dr. Caldwell called on Saturday morning. Luke, I've just reviewed all the documentation. Monday morning, I'm filing everything. Contested divorce with a request for total exclusion from property division based on proven infidelity. Your mother's divorce petition for the same reason. It will be quick, 2 or 3 months at most. Perfect. Thank you, doctor. On Monday, at 9:17 a.m., the petitions were filed in the family court of the Franklin County Courthouse. Case number so-and-so, documents attached, audiovisual evidence on a sealed flash drive. Everything by the book, everything legal. The notification arrived for Julia on Tuesday, hand-delivered by a process server. She called me 23 times that day and sent 57 messages. Crying voicemails, crying photos, long texts begging for forgiveness. I blocked her number. She sent her best friend, Casey, to try to talk to me on Wednesday. Casey showed up at my work, at the certifier's headquarters in Columbus. Luke, for the love of God, give her a chance. She's destroyed. She's not eating, she's not sleeping. She told me she's in a very dark place. Casey, with all due respect, she should have thought of that before she broke my trust. I have nothing to discuss. On Thursday, it was her father. Frank Dalton, 68 years old, owner of an auto parts store on the west side. A decent, hard-working man who had always treated me well. He showed up at my house at 7 in the evening. He rang the doorbell, and I answered. He was at the gate with his cap in his hand, head bowed. Luke, good evening. Sorry to show up unannounced. Good evening, Mr. Dalton. I imagine this is about Julia. It is. Look, son, I know my daughter was wrong. Very, very wrong. But she's a wreck, man. Completely destroyed. She's living at our house, in her childhood bedroom, just crying all day. She won't eat, won't leave the room. I've never seen her like this. Isn't there any way you can give her a chance? Just one. I took a deep breath, looked at this good, humble man who was not at fault, and said, Mr. Dalton, I have a lot of respect for you. You've always been a good man, a good father. But your daughter had 6 months of chances, 180 days where she could have stopped, where she could have told me the truth, where she could have asked for a divorce honestly. But she did none of that. She chose to engage in a relationship with my stepfather inside my own house. That's not a mistake, Mr. Dalton. That's character. And character doesn't change. He lowered his head even more. I understand, son. I really do. I'm sorry for the trouble she's caused. You have nothing to be sorry for. I'm very sorry that you're going through this. He walked away with his head down, getting into an old Chevy, and I stood there watching him leave. 2 weeks later, the court hearing took place. Monday, 10 in the morning, family court, 3rd floor of the courthouse. Julia showed up with a lawyer who looked fresh out of law school, carrying an old briefcase. Dr. Caldwell presented the evidence, the flash drive with the videos, a technical report from a digital forensics expert authenticating the recordings, and a certified copy of the infidelity clause from the property deed. The judge, a woman in her 50s with short hair and red-framed glasses, reviewed everything in complete silence. When she was finished, she took off her glasses, cleaned the lenses, put them back on, and looked directly at Julia. "Do you have anything to say in your defense?" Julia, crying, with a choked voice, said, "I made a mistake, Your Honor. I know I was wrong, but I don't deserve to lose everything. I lived in that house. I took care of that house. The judge raised her hand, cutting her off. "You engaged in a 6-month affair with your husband's stepfather inside the marital home. There is unequivocal audiovisual evidence. The clause in the deed is clear and legal. The judgment is as follows. Divorce is granted. The division of assets is 0. The property remains entirely with the plaintiff. The defendant has 15 days to remove her personal belongings from the residence. Next case." She banged the gavel. Julia left the courthouse devastated, supported by her lawyer and her mother. I walked out free. My mother's case was even faster. Victor didn't even show up for the hearing. The divorce was granted by default. She got her maiden name back, Marilyn Miller, and most importantly, she got her peace back. Today, 9 months after all of this, I live in the same house, but it's different. I renovated the entire master bedroom, changed the mattress and the dressers, and painted the walls a light gray. I replaced the living room sofa with a brown leather sectional. I sold Julia's Corolla and bought a motorcycle for myself, a beautiful black Yamaha MT-07. On weekends, I hit the road with no obligations, no destination, just me and the asphalt. I hired a cleaning lady who comes 3 times a week. Celia Parker, 60 years old, a devout churchgoer, and a cook like no other. She leaves prepared meals for me in the fridge. The house smells like real food now. My mother is doing well, very well. She started quilting. She joined a craft group at her church and travels with her friends to historic towns. Last month, she went to Savannah, Georgia, and came back with a suitcase full of souvenirs. Last week she was here at the house. We were having coffee on the porch, and she said, "Son, I wanted to thank you." "Thank me for what, Mom?" "For opening my eyes. I was living a lie. I was supporting a man who didn't love me, who didn't respect me. You set me free." "I didn't do anything, Mom. You were the one who had the courage to kick him out." "No, son. You showed me that self-respect is worth more than company, that it's better to be alone than in bad company." We drank our coffee in silence, watching the sun rise on the horizon. Julia tried to come back 3 times. The first time, 2 months after the divorce, she sent a handwritten letter, 10 pages long, asking for forgiveness, saying she had changed, had gone to therapy, and that she understood her mistake. I tore it up and threw it in the trash without finishing it. The second time, 4 months later, she sent a bouquet of red roses to my work with a card. "I will never stop loving you. Forgive me, Julia." I gave the flowers to the secretary. The third time, last week, she asked Casey, our mutual friend, to call me. Casey called crying, saying Julia was in a very bad way, that she needed closure, that she just wanted to talk for 5 minutes. I said no, and I hung up, because I learned something fundamental in these 9 months. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. I forgave Julia in the sense that I no longer carry anger. I don't dwell on it. I don't think about her every day. But forgiving doesn't mean taking someone back. It doesn't mean giving another chance. Some bridges you burn on purpose. Victor vanished, simply disappeared. I heard from my cousin who lives on the north side of town that he's living in a cheap apartment near the airport, alone, making a living as a DoorDash driver. I don't feel pity. I don't feel anything. And me? I learned several things. I learned that loyalty is non-negotiable, that trust is a rare, valuable currency, and once you spend it, you can't get it back. I learned that sometimes the people you love the most are the very ones who hurt you the most. I learned that loneliness isn't bad. Loneliness is peace when the alternative is betrayal. I learned that what goes around does come around. Yes, but only if you have the courage and dignity to turn the wheel yourself. I still travel, still inspect meatpacking plants and dairies. I wake up early, work hard, and come home tired. But now, when I come home to a place of truth, not to a decorated lie. I live, I work, and I breathe on my own time, by my own rules. And when the key turns in the lock and I walk into my house after 3 days on the road, I know that no one betrayed me while I was gone. I know that no one laughed at me behind my back. I know that no one called me a cuckold. And that, my friend, is priceless. Comment. What truly stays with me from this story is the quiet strength found in choosing yourself. I believe that setting firm boundaries is one of the highest forms of self-care, even when it is incredibly difficult. It reminds us that we can be resolute in our decisions while still showing kindness to those who are not at fault. Taking responsibility for the environment you live in is a powerful first step toward healing. True healing is not about erasing the past, but about intentionally building a new future that feels safe and authentic. Sometimes, the most valuable thing you can win from a difficult situation is your own peace of mind. Your inner peace and self-respect are values that should never be negotiated away. I hope you always remember to honor your own worth in every relationship you have. Remember that choosing to be alone is always better than choosing to be disrespected. Take good care of yourself out there. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.